Is Microsoft actually cool? Could it be?
No.
Generation Tech, the weekly videocast for your inner geek, bringing you the hottest tech news from around the world. Brace yourselves, the show's about to start. It's Generation Tech. Here's your hosts, Rich Nieto and Matthew Burrows.
And welcome to episode 31 of Generation Tech. It's January 22nd, 2015. I almost said 2014. It's going to take me a while to still remember.
I've been writing 2014 in all my papers up
Yeah.
to this week. And I'm like, damn it.
It takes like a month to get used to the new year. But
like, all right, I need to accept this. Just let my body need
just
to
accept it, man. Just accept it. We're in 2015. So, with that being said, this week, Microsoft held an event about Windows 10, and there was a lot they covered. And I don't know if you watched any of it. I was streaming some of it during work. I was kind of in and out of my office, so I caught glimpses of it, but I read a lot about it afterwards. And there was a lot of interesting stuff, and we're gonna go like into a lot of detail, not so much about the stuff that happened, but what the ramifications are of these products and services and everything that they discussed. So let's start off, man. I mean, unless you have something else better you got to say right now, I think we should start off with this crap.
No, I think we can jump right into it.
All right. So let's start off with Windows 10. That was the main thing that the event was about. It was the Windows 10 event after all. So, I mean, we already saw a glimpse of it later last year. I think it was in the fall or something. They held an event. Yeah,
I think it was like their beta developer event or whatever they call it.
Right. Which their new CEO Satya Nadella. Yeah. Honestly, I can't say his fucking name.
I sat on your Nutella.
Sat on your Nutella. Order. But I'm going to talk about him later, but he's really impressing me as the CEO of Microsoft. They went from Bill Gates to Ballmer, which was the dark days of Microsoft in my eyes, down to this guy he has that vision that you don't really see a lot. Almost Steve Jobs-esque. I don't want to call him Steve Jobs exactly, but he has.
It's like polishing a turd that Microsoft was at the time of He just, he's like, you know what? I got to clean this up. Shapes it into a nice sculpture, polishes it out. It's still turd, but it still looks decent.
Well, that's one way to put it. So Windows 10. I mean, we saw it, like I said earlier. They kind of went into more details. They showed us Cortana, which is their Siri counterpart, except now they're going to have this service on the desktop, which looked pretty cool. Did you see anything about it?
I saw I guess how you can use it within the start menu and stuff. That would be kind of cool to have Siri with like OS X, on the computer. But I don't know how they would implement it as well.
Yeah, so Mac OS 10 really, instead of Siri, they have the Spotlight feature, which you do everything manually. I would really like to see Siri eventually on the desktop. It only makes sense. I mean, instead of the Spotlight button, you would press it and you say, Siri, do this or whatever, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool. They would obviously have to add some sort of thing on their peripherals, maybe to make it a little bit easier, or just a gesture that they could add or something like that, or a hot corner. I don't know. Something like that. I think a hot corner would actually work well. But yeah, I think they just want to kind of with Windows anyway. They want to kind of take some of these features that have been around for a couple years and integrate them onto the PC. Which I know they're integrating Xbox. They're integrating gaming. So they're really kind of tying everything that they've been producing as of late all into one big thing.
Yeah, like Skype also, they're going to do like a iMessage type thing with Skype. Yeah. It's going to be universal across every platform. Every platform in that, if I have an iPhone and I have Skype installed, I can message, people on Windows with Skype and blah, 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 obviously. But
and who knows, I mean? It might be even like a separate app that's more streamlined, like iMessage. Because I mean, as good as Skype is for chatting, it is kind of like messy. I'd like to see it cleaned up.
They have to. For text messaging, it would have to definitely be more streamlined.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so they also showed the Spartan browser, which I've never been an Internet Explorer user. I mean, who is an Internet IE user?
They actually like didn't they drop it a year and a half ago? They literally just dropped it. Like there's no support really for it. They kind of realized how bad it was, I guess, finally, and how many browsers there are that are way better and way ahead of Internet Explorer.
No, I don't think they dropped it. Maybe an older version they dropped, but they have IE what's it?
Yeah.
11, I think now.
But I feel like when remember when did they switch over from like XP? They kind of like cut off XP. What was that last year?
That was like a year or two ago.
Yeah, around that time they kind of like slowed down support on Internet Explorer, which I think they were kind of gearing up for the impending release of the next Windows system, which obviously over the time it's changed mindsets.
Possibly, but it looks intriguing because it looks nothing like IE, and they even changed the name, which they really had to, because Internet Explorer has that stigma of a crappy browser, and no one wants to use it based on the name.
And now, Spartan's like Halo.
Yeah, I love that they're using the hate like Cortana, Spartan. I think that's pretty cool. But just the way the browser looked, and it wasn't ready for beta or for testing at the event for all the bloggers and stuff, but just the way it looked, it definitely looks like something I would give it a try. I probably wouldn't ever use it as my main browser, but
yeah,
I would definitely give it a shot.
But you can never say. I mean, maybe it is better than Chrome. If they improve the speeds alone with how it looks like it would actually be a decent browser. Yeah,
for sure. Like even Safari, I think that's a great built-in browser. I've used it as my primary browser for a long time, but I recently switched to Chrome, so it would take a lot for me to switch to a different browser other than Chrome, because it's just like how it works across every platform. It doesn't matter Mac,
and it's
Windows.
Really simple. I mean, you and I both run Gmails, and you just can sign in on any computer, any device, and it syncs everything, bookmarks, everything like that.
Yeah,
which is really, really good.
Another good thing about the Windows 10 is the continuum. It reminds me of continuity with the Apple stuff, but continuum allows you to have apps, universal apps across all the platforms. So whether it's a phone, a tablet, desktop, it doesn't matter what it is. It's the same app, just scaled differently, but it has the same UI for the most part. And I think cool. That makes sense. You know, I kind of wish Apple would kind of do that as well. You know, that would be a neat feature. But
they would have to kind of decide whether to go full-fledged iOS looking on OS X or vice versa, which I like how they've blended it well enough right now as to where you can see the resemblance. But if you guys haven't seen with the new Windows Phone updates with Windows 10, because even if you have a Windows Phone, you will get a Windows 10 operating system. It looks almost exact to the actual full-fledged version of it. It doesn't really look that different. Like I don't know, with Windows 8 it kind of looked dumbed down a little bit for the phones. It didn't have as much features, but it really looks nice now. It's very clean. Yeah,
and I like how Windows 8, it was the exact same experience on a tablet or on a regular traditional PC. Yeah. And while Windows 10 will be working on both, they're tailoring the experience differently based on the device. So if you're on a tablet or a touch device, it's going to be more of that Metro UI. You could still use the desktop, but the start menu will be more Metro UI and stuff. And when you're on the desktop, it's more suitable for the click and point mouse. Start menu will be more traditional, less tiles. There will be some tiles, but not as much. And I like how it tailors based on the device. Not that it's one OS for everything. It doesn't change at all. You know, that was their biggest fatal mistake with Windows 8, pushing that to everybody. Like you have to use it this way. You know.
Yeah, the Metro UI I think is a good feature, but they pushed it too much, as you just said. Like they made that the main boot up screen, and I think everyone was still liking the classic Windows. How you get the single bar in the start button, and that worked, you know. And they changed it drastically, making it so that you had to boot into the Metro UI, and they didn't even have a start button up until recently, where they patched it in after like many people complaining, thousands of people.
Yeah, you can't take something that's been around in Windows OS for what 15, 20 years, just take it away in one iteration and call it. That's what I like about Apple, is that when they want to change a feature, they do it gradually over iterations. They don't just bam, it's gone, or there's a feature to replace something else. They do it gradually so the user gets used to, like, weaning them off of it, like a baby. Because users are very finicky. They like familiarity, and if something's very drastically different, then they're not going to like it. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, that'd be like, it's like the equivalent of Apple just removing the top bar, just 100%.
Yeah.
Just, all right, yeah, okay, now we have no top bar, so you kind of have to get used to it. And it's like, no, I don't want to get used to it. I want to go back to how it was. And that's how everyone was with the Windows 8. So I think they're kind of bringing back the main essential roots of Windows 7 and prior versions.
Yeah, and it looks really nice. Like, for a Windows, I haven't been a fan for Windows. I mean, you guys all know I'm a Mac person, but it looks intriguing. I would definitely give it a try, and I like all their business elements that they threw into it as well from an IT standpoint. It looks like it'll be a lot easier to manage from a business point of view, enterprise point of view rather. So that's something also that's what their bread and butter is enterprise, and they have to always appeal to that segment of the market. Yeah. And if they could appeal to also customers in their home lives, with the Xbox integration and stuff like that, that's just an added bonus, because I think they've tailored in recent years, they tailored too much for the business and enterprise people, and it got boring. You went home and you use the same Windows, and it's like, it feels like I'm at work, I don't know if you kind of feel the same way when you were a Windows user, but then again, you don't really have a 9 to 5 job normally, like an office job, but that's how I would feel.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I like about this Windows 10, the screenshots and stuff that they showed, and the live action stuff, with Windows 8, to me, I don't know, tell me what you think about this. To me, it felt almost like it was too clean. Like it was very stripped of any luster or polish. Like Windows 7, it felt very kind of premium with how it looked when it first came out, especially compared to Vista. And then Windows 8 kind of went to like a matte finish type, just blocks.
Flat.
And this, they kind of I like how they added the opacity from a UI and UX standpoint. The opacity and kind of the glass features are kind of back, which I did like. It looked very nice.
Yeah, it's very Yosemite-esque, where you have the opacity for Windows, and you could see the background and your desktop a little more easily.
Yeah.
And they finished, I would say, more polished the snap feature, where it has more usability and stuff like that. So I just like the little details that they're actually paying attention to. I feel like with Windows 8, they just slapped it all together. Even though it was in production for a while, and it took them a long time to release it. It's just, it's amazing the direction that they were going in Windows 8 days as opposed to now in the Windows 10 days. It's like a very different company. And we're going to be talking a little bit later towards the tail end of the show about Windows as a company and where they're going. I think it'll be an interesting conversation. But let's go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess, as you're saying, it's easier to see your desktop. And with this new product that they kind of showed off on this PowerPoint, it looks very cool. Now, this is piquing my interest. It's kind of a new era of VR. It's not even really VR anymore. It's kind of like optics, I guess you could say.
So the way I would describe this, and we were talking about the HoloLens that they showed off, it would be like combining the Oculus Rift with Google Glass. It's not, you're not enclosed like the Oculus. It's not all virtual reality, but also at the same time, it's not like Google Glass where you only have a HUD. It's literally like combining the both. It's a HUD, but much more advanced. Like your entire landscape is your desktop. You could Skype on the wall. All these different features, and so. What piqued your interest most about the HoloLens?
Hey, when I first saw the HoloLens, it kind of looked like a pilot's the mask with kind of the HUD on display at all times. And with this, you can really take any part of the user experience And you could take your YouTube video and put it on your wall if you wanted to, because it can just display it over the glass, which is really cool. It's completely different technology than we've seen before.
Yeah, so the implementations that they showed were vast. I mean, there were many different ways you can use it. First of all, the Minecraft.
Yeah.
I mean, that looked.
Oh, that looks
amazing.
so sick. Like how it was on the table, and
Yeah.
like the dude was like, "Oh yeah, I'll just." I don't think they'll be able to do that yet, but now that they bought Minecraft, I think they'll definitely be able to go that far with it.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why they probably bought Minecraft.
Mhm.
I mean, at the time, it kind of seemed like, okay, they just bought Minecraft, but now you can see they have a purpose for it. It's to showcase this new technology that they have, you know?
And that'd be an awesome game, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna crawl over to this. I'm gonna walk over my table and build my house over here.
And then
it'd
someone,
be like real Legos.
the cool thing is, during the demo of this, the guy that had the Oculus Rift, why did I say that? The HoloLens on, he was playing Minecraft. He threw TNT at the wall, and it blasted a hole through the wall, and it showed a whole new landscape outside of it. So it's amazing.
Very cool.
But yeah, I don't think that would be available anytime soon. It's just funny because Minecraft was shown on the Oculus Rift. Like, you could play that on there before Microsoft bought it. So it's kind of interesting how Minecraft is kind of leading the way with all this VR stuff as in terms of a gaming perspective.
Yeah. Well, Minecraft was one of the first things on the Oculus Rift, but it was someone actually had to create a mod for it to get the head tracking. But it's pretty much just playing Minecraft, except you have to look around with your head instead of that. But this takes it to a whole new perspective, like bird's eye view, virtual blocks on around your room.
Yeah, so it could be on your desk, it could be on the floor. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to have the space for it, granted, but you know, it's awesome. And also the other things that they showed is like you can help someone over Skype. So if like their thing was if you need help with your plumbing, you know, you could call someone over Skype. The video can be on the wall, and then they can point. They can see what you're looking at, and they can point and tell you what to draw stuff. And you could actually see it on the actual object. So, I mean, that just changes everything. I mean, can you imagine getting help in that sort of way in the future?
Yeah, it's really cool how Microsoft's really going into this like annotation at all points of the OS. As we said earlier about the Spartan, they also have this feature where you can just kind of draw any point of the web page. It's really quite cool.
Yeah, for sure. And they also showed, you know, you could build and print out 3D objects.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Was it a Hololab or something like that?
Yeah, I think they were working on another thing that I saw was kind of cool with the 3D modeling with the motorcycle. How the lady was like kind of changing the gas tank.
Yeah, it was like out of Iron Man, you know, when Starks was building his suit, he can manipulate it and like a hologram and everything. So that's what it reminded me of.
It's only a matter of time until we get this technology anyway. So
yeah, and it's not even like it's a hologram though, because it's not physically there, but it's just there through your visors or your glasses per se. So
yeah, and I guess on a side topic, I was looking at another like set of goggles, I guess, from CES, I believe, and they had a new thing where they use micro mirrors. So I think it rendered out technically like 720p, but it was using the iris of your eye instead of a screen. So it was actually like as if you were watching it like with your own eyes, instead of looking at a screen. It was really cool. It's like it projected it onto your iris.
Yeah, so their whole thing about this HoloLens is they want to get away from the screens. Like we all know about computers, mobile devices, everything we use today is all based on limitations of the screen. Yeah. So it's taking the screen away. The landscape, your environment is your screen. The world is your screen, you know. And one of the cool demos that I actually showed is someone was using a mouse and on the desktop, and the guy from Microsoft told him, yeah, so take the cursor off the screen and point at that thing on the floor. Well, he was wearing the HoloLens, and he's like, but take the cursor off the screen. So he just did it, and yeah, you could see the cursor moving over there to grab something. Yeah. So that's what they're going for, is not screens anymore. You know, it's amazing. And to me, this is like the new frontier of technology because I don't know, for the last, I would say 5 years, I think tech in general has been pretty stagnant. Yeah. Sure, we've had nice iPads, we've had now nice wearables and stuff like that, but wearables is just a smaller screen. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's a smaller phone on your wrist, lesser specs and stuff like that. But this changes a lot of things. You know, it changes the way we view technology, the way we use technology, and the uses for it are beyond anything we can do right now at the moment because we are limited within the boundaries of the screen. You know, whether it's 4K, 8K, doesn't matter. It's still a screen. You know.
But yeah, so I saw this other thing at CES, and it was kind of briefly mentioned. But this company made a projector that they paired with a Kinect and an Xbox One, and in doing so, they actually made it so it was a full room of kind of like VR. They added another depth to the TV, so you're not just stuck to your one TV. So for GTA, I guess as an example, you could see the road and kind of your peripherals like through this projection. It won't be on the screen, but it'll be like kind of off to the side, and it actually maps out the room for you, so it makes it so it looks the best for your room. And they also use like a FPS game, and they show the lights from the guns being projected off onto the walls. So you won't really need this LED technology behind the TV stuff because this could be a reality.
Yeah, I think they showed that off early in the Xbox One days. I remember reading about it, but it kind of makes you think that this HoloLens is kind of like an extension of the Kinect stuff. Like Kinect was kind of like, you know, they're tinkering around with this sort of stuff, like virtual reality type thing, you know. But this just takes it to a whole nother level. So one other device I just wanted to talk about was the Surface Hub, which has a lot of purpose in the business world, because I could see my company completely using this for video conferences. Because right now, the way video conferences work at my job, it's just basically a glorified Skype. If you need to share presentations, you got to hook up your laptop to the box, the box that uses the video conference, and you know, it doesn't optimize the screen properly either, because like you would see the window with the presentation over here, and then you would see like the little window on the top right, or one of the corners with the other endpoints.
Yeah.
But it only shows who's talking, so it doesn't show everyone at the same time. It's a mess. Every window is really small, and we have a 70-inch TV in this video conference room, but still, it's just way too small. The way this hub works, it's all optimized really nicely. Like it takes the most out of the space, no matter what kind of screen you use, and you can in real time draw or make edits on the screen, and everyone else will see it, all the other endpoints. So I really like how this will help collaborations going forward. Now, I don't even want to imagine how much it is. I mean, it's a 4K 80-inch, I think it was, with touch and all these sensors. So
yeah, we have something like this at our school, but they call them smart boards. Yeah. And have you seen these before?
Yeah. I have never actually been in school to use one, but I've heard about them.
So it's like a smart projection. It's like it's a on the wall projector, so it's like really flush, pretty much. And you pretty much at the bottom you have like a and you tap it, and then you can draw on the screen. But it doesn't show it across all parties. So like they kind of use the Skype platform to really maximize the experience of this, which is good. So you don't really have to go searching for a third-party program to use it. So they definitely showed off some good uses for it, and definitely for any kind of marketing standpoint or anything like that would be a huge help.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. But enough about the actual what they talked about. I want to talk about Windows as a company, because Microsoft, Apple, and Google, those are the big three tech companies today, and they have been for a while, you know. But when you think about Microsoft rather, in the 2000s, they really played it safe. They were boring and basically just copied other companies a year later, you know. And Apple in the same time period, they were the innovator. You know, they always led. They were innovative. They had the iPhone, iPad. They changed computing with their OS 10s and stuff like that. But mostly they changed the way we do mobile computing. They really have turned into a mobile company, and they really are innovative in that. But since then, and I would say the last 4 or 5 years, Apple's kind of played it safe. Honestly, they all they've really done is make iterations of already existing technologies. So there's next iteration of the iPhone, the iPad, smaller MacBooks, faster MacBooks, but they really haven't changed all too much in the last 5 years. And now it just seems like the roles are reversed. You know, it seems like Microsoft is really trying to be that innovator. You know, release something that's out of the box with this HoloLens. You know, I mean, other companies have tried it with the Oculus Rift, the Google Glass, but this just seems different. I don't know. It obviously it is different. It's not quite either or, but it's that next frontier that we're looking at. You know, it's just that next wave of tech that we've been waiting for a while. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about that?
I think you're pretty much right on. Apple early on, they were innovators, man. With the iPods and everything else. Am I cutting out, by the way?
No.
Okay. You got quiet. But yeah, they innovated with the iPods, all that stuff, and then Windows followed suit, obviously, with Zune, and all that stuff. And now it's kind of flip-flopped. At this point in time, Apple's been playing it safe for a couple of years. They've been doing well at it, but they have been playing it safe nonetheless. And Windows has kind of been reaching its arms out, kind of grabbing different technologies, different brands, different companies, just seeing what they can do with it. And I think, I think that it's going to go someplace well, and maybe down the road it'll influence Apple to kind of hop on this VR bandwagon, something like that eventually.
Yeah, see, in the 2000s, Microsoft was big enough where they had people that needed their products in the business world. So they were always going to survive. They were able to play it safe and not be too trying to be too innovative, where if they have a failed product or two, it's really going to cut on them. They didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So, and they really don't now. But in the long term, they had to do something different. They were just becoming too stale. And I think Apple's kind of getting to that point where they need to do something completely different. And Jacob mentioned the 5K iMac, but that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. It's another iteration of an already existing technology. I mean, sure, it has a much better monitor screen resolution than anything out there exists, but that doesn't matter. It's a screen with a computer behind it. I have the exact same iMac minus the 5K.
And Windows is already caught up. Dell already has a 5K monitor, so it's old news.
And trust me, I am the hugest Apple fan. I mean, I'm called an Apple fanboy at times, but I think I'm not a fanboy because I still am interested in other companies. I watched the Windows event. You know, I'm still intrigued what tech is out there. Sure, I might prefer Apple products, but at the same time, I have a love for technology of every single company. You know, I still have that general interest. And, you know, I may not go out and get a PC that has Windows 10 on it. Mm-hmm. Probably not. But just the fact that they're trying something different, it makes other companies try to do the same. You know, and just that pushing of each company against one another, that competition really pushes us forward. You know, because if they didn't come out with this, we would have been looking at Oculus Rift as virtual reality, and the Google Glass kind of failed. I mean, they're working on Google Glass 2, but who knows about that?
See, I think this is kind of what you said before. It's stagnant. We're in a stagnant state of technology. We're just re-innovating screens. Okay, yes, it's a screen. We're getting higher pixel density. We're getting higher frame rates, higher refresh rates, stuff like that. But it's still a screen at the end of the day. We need to get new technology. We need to get, as Microsoft's doing, virtual screens, kind of in-space screens. And a lot of these companies are kind of following suit now. We're getting more advanced optics. That company that I was talking about that uses the micro mirrors, they actually had it so that you could sit at home, look at a wall, and it had a program that would build a 70-inch TV out of your wall. It would replicate a 70-inch TV, and you could watch Netflix on it. It was pretty awesome how they pulled this off. So you're not even going to need a TV eventually.
Yeah, and that's the type of thinking we need in technology these days. Because for the long, like even Apple events, sure, I'll watch them. I'm really interested in see what the new iPhone is or the Apple Watch, but it's gotten boring because it's very predictable. Not just because of the leaked rumors, but it's just very predictable. Even without the rumors, you know it's going to be a thinner iPhone, better camera. I mean, someone asks you, what's the next iPhone going to be like? I tell them, faster, thinner, lighter, better camera. I mean, it's so predictable. Now, Microsoft's HoloLens was kind of like their one last thing. You know, they kind of tacked it on at the end of their conference, and it just really reminded me of Apple with their like, oh, one last thing.
Yeah.
You know?
That's when they unveil like the product that everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say it gave me goosebumps, but it kind of did because it's that type of thing where you really appreciate tech and you realize how much you enjoy it is when you get goosebumps over a new product like that. It doesn't happen every day, you know. And Nutella, I'm making fun of his name, Nutella. He even mentioned like. When you try this HoloLens, it's going to be like you using Microsoft Paint for the first time. You know, back in the early 90s when the mouse and paint and that was new. You remember those experiences. And when you use this new product, you're probably going to remember, holy shit, this is a whole new experience, right?
Yeah, I remember when I found out the way that you could make, I don't know if you remember this, in early versions of like Word, you could do like the 3D text with like the red, white, and blue theme going through it, and it was like all like metallic. That was cool, man, back in the day. And that, like, I don't know, just small things like that were kind of nostalgic, but these are big things that are going to be nostalgic.
Yeah, and I'm sure Apple is working on their own iteration. I mean, they wouldn't let something like this pass by. They have to be in the running for some kind of product like this. It's just, you know how they're going to be. They're going to wait. Microsoft is going to release it. It's probably going to be buggy. You know, it's probably not going to be polished. And Apple, a couple years later, will come out with their own HoloLens. What do we call the Apple Lens? I'll probably call it, you know. Bookmark this in case they call it the Apple Lens. I predict the future. But, you know, it'll probably be a little better. You know, it's very predictable. But just the fact that it's a completely different device, it's just, that's what I like tech. You know, that's what always makes me looking forward, because I've just been so bored with tech lately. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, we got a new generation graphics cards coming out. It's like, all right, that's cool, but when do I get to see? Now some of these companies are talking about a third like processing unit, which is this hologram processing unit, whatever they want to call it eventually. Yeah. Which would be awesome if you see PCs now. Maybe you'll have a home PC that literally runs the house. Wouldn't that be sweet? Like you just have like, maybe you don't even need goggles at this point. You just have one PC, like a network, and it runs everything in your house, and that it's all virtual. That'd be awesome. That can entirely be plausible because home automation is the thing of the future. It's coming.
I mean, Google is taking that full on right now.
Oh, for sure.
And all that stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, and Apple's definitely going to have a play in that also.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They always have to have a leg in something.
They have to have their fingers in everybody's.
Yeah. And, you know, with the whole ecosystem, it kind of only makes sense for them to have something like that, home automation. Because they want to take control of every single aspect of your house, you know.
But wouldn't that be sweet, though? Like, you don't even need a TV. You just want this program. I want YouTube to run on this wall right now. So here comes the 70-inch virtual screen. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. See, I don't know if this type of technology will replace screens entirely, because there's nothing. I don't know, especially right off the bat, if like the quality would be as good as 4K TV, you know, or especially the surround sound experience, you know, that you want in a nice.
You never know though. We could get more technology even in the next 10 years that could replace surround sound with maybe ear implants. I don't know, ear implants.
So you know what's interesting? my office is moving to a new location, and one technology that really interests me was in the lobby area. They're gonna have these little pods where someone can sit. It's like a really comfortable chair. It looks like a pod, and above you there's like a speaker, and you could be watching a TV or trailer, whatever it is media wise, in front of you, and the TV in front of you, and that sound only goes right in that section of the pod that you're in. So someone could be sitting like a foot outside the pod, that circular area, and they would not hear 1 ounce of sound.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to see how this actually works, because there's going to be like 4 or 5 of them in the lobby.
Which is just down there listening to Hardwell Trance.
Yeah, right? Just scratched my fucking thing.
What'd you scratch?
That out. I just bumped into the microphone.
Oh. But yeah, that'd be kind of funny. You're just down there listening to some like trance, like you're just watching it. Everyone's like watching what the hell you're watching, and you're like.
But like, see that could be integrated with something like this HoloLens, where you see the thing in front of you, but you have the sound just dispersed in your section of the room. Mm-hmm. So that's why I brought it up, because it could actually kind of tie together. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah. And even a couple of these new TVs that have been coming out, they actually have like virtual 5.1, so they technically have a subwoofer and 5 speakers, but how they move the audio is the more interesting part. They actually have like different ways that they send the audio through the room. They make the audio waves travel across the room in a certain way, so it actually sounds like you have rear speakers, but you don't have rear speakers. It's just coming from in front of you. It's really cool.
Yeah, like the Bose. I remember their technologies. They bounce off the walls a certain way that they reflect behind you, and they come at your ear from behind. So that's the kind of technology they're at now. I
mean, all this stuff, it just takes time, and I'm sure they'll come up with some sort of solution.
Yeah. So one interesting thing that I saw that they mentioned at the event was that Microsoft didn't want to be needed. They didn't want to be wanted. They wanted to be loved as a technology company, which is interesting, because they are definitely needed. Everyone needs Windows in their life, especially from a business standpoint. But they don't want to just be the preferred one either. Like, I prefer Apple over Windows. They don't even want that. They want to be loved. Like a lot of people,
all knowing everything.
Well, not even just that. Like, people have an enthusiasm about Apple, about Amazon and Google. They genuinely have an interest in them. And Microsoft has always been, well, not always, they've been recently stale as a tech company, as we mentioned before. So they want to turn into one of those beloved tech companies, which can work out or it can. I mean, it's I think that's interesting that they mentioned that at the conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think they're just trying to change around their image. With Satya Nadella or whatever.
Nutella.
Sat on your Nutella. I think he's just trying to change around the company's image at this point, because it's very kind of like, I don't know what to expect from them. You can kind of go either way. I think he just wants to make it feel more of a positive company and have decent outcomes and decent ideas come from the company like they used to back in the day.
Yeah, and one last thing before we end the show. I saw this quote somewhere. I don't remember who said this quote. I just remember reading it. But they said it's better to be an explorer than a conqueror. So when it goes to tech, exploring new technologies, it's better to do that than to be the big company like Apple is now, where they just own everything. They're the best at everything from a marketplace standpoint, and just settling as a status quo. For the longest, Apple has been that exploring company, that is exploring new innovative devices, stuff like that. But like we mentioned before, things have changed. They're now the conqueror for all intents and purposes. I mean, they really are. They're the most, in terms of grossing money, they're the biggest company in the world. And they're bigger. They have a bigger economy than most countries even. So now Microsoft is kind of like the second fiddle, the third fiddle even. So they have that chance to be the little guy that can kind of strive forward and explore new things. So I honestly, I wish Apple would get back to its roots, but maybe they've just gotten too big where they can't do that anymore. Maybe they have to play it safe. Which is sad.
If Apple had a failed product, that's why I think they're so cautious about releasing their watches. It would probably ruin the the purity of the company. In a lot of like texts and stuff, they refer to like white, like angelic kind of purity. That's kind of how Apple is at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of like, okay, we can expect something consistent from them every year.
Yeah. I mean, when you think of Apple, you think polished, you think it just works, simple. And if they ever tarnish that image, that will definitely take away from them, because they're not leading edge anymore in a lot of things. So they really have to kind of rely on that image of simplicity and stuff like that. And design. I mean, obviously design, they always are going to be top notch. I don't think anyone anytime soon, as long as Johnny Ives is where he is, I think Apple always have the leg up in terms of design.
Oh, yeah.
But that could also be a negative, because a lot of times thinner means sacrifices.
Yeah.
You know, they have to take away certain features for that thinness.
We might have to go back to reasonably sized computers if we go into this type of stuff where we have to integrate another processing unit. You never know. We might have to kind of rethink everything.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's something you got to think about, and who wants to take a step backward. We talked about that last week with Project Aura, with phones. You know, we might have to take that step backwards with thinness in terms of mobile devices, for that modularity. So,
but I think once we go back to thickness, we'll start over again, and we'll kind of go back to being thinner and thinner and thinner. You know?
Yeah, I think there has to be that resetting in a lot of technologies where.
Well, it's like when you wipe your OS, you just want to start first.
Yeah, you could put it that way, but when you're used to a device this thin, like the iPhone is, who's really going to want to go to something bigger? It's just it's going to be a hard transition for everyone. Yeah. You know,
you're just gonna install those programs again, man.
Yeah,
it'd be right back to where.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to see what this HoloLens is all about. And honestly, when they first showed, I was like, sure, that's maybe 10, 15 years down the road.
But it's literally like
this year.
Yeah,
which is amazing. I mean, I have a hard. I'm so skeptical about this. I mean, sure they demoed it, but I don't think it's going to be as.
It's not going to be as polished as they show it.
Oh, definitely not. It's
basic.
Because when they show the demos, it's all like it's scripted. You know. It wasn't like
it's obviously CGI. A lot of it.
I mean, the demoers did have a lot of freedom, but not a lot, not so much where they could just do whatever they want. They had to abide by what the person was telling them to do. You know, so I don't know.
But I'll probably end up getting a Windows machine.
Restart that because you froze.
I know. I hear. Yeah, I'll probably eventually get one of those, but I'll first have to get a Windows machine first, or just buy Windows and boot camp it, which I was considering doing anyway.
Yeah, but this device is going to cost over $1,000. So
yeah,
That's
most VR headsets.
Yeah, I don't even think I would buy the first iteration because, like I said, I don't think it's going to be what the end product they're claiming is going to be. I think it's going to be very limited, especially early on. I mean, first of all, developers have to cater to this device, and that's going to take a while. But this is such a new technology that I want to wait for the second or third generation before I really get into it. You know, I don't want to be a beta tester for the first year.
I go to Microsoft Store. I just want to try it like in store.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like CES or something.
Yeah. Boom. I agree. So I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I really thought that Microsoft really showed something amazing here, and I just think it also is a paradigm shift in terms of the tech companies, the big three. You know, this could really change the way that people perceive Microsoft, and in all aspects, from a business standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, and from an innovation standpoint. I think they really changed since the new CEO started. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So with that being
said,
Nutella,
you're doing good.
Nutella, you are amazing. So
that's totally gonna go in the thumbnail. Just a thing of Nutella.
Nutella. So with that being said, thanks a lot for joining us. And yeah, so we'll see what else brings us the next week of technology. And we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.